Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up, Hayes? What's going on with you, brother?
What's going on, man? Hey, another beautiful day in the neighborhood, baby.
Another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hey,
Yes,
man,
sir.
I know how it is, man. How's this week going so far? This is Wednesday. The 27th? We got one more
Hump
day in
day?
February. One more.
Hump day?
You down for one more day in February?
Hey, one more day in February, boy. Glad it ain't a leap year. Let's get up out this month.
Yeah, nice, man. Hey, man, it's Black History Month, so I learned a few things this year.
True story, dog. I ain't gonna lie to you. I did learn quite a few things this year.
That's good, man. That's good. Well, I tell you what, man. We here. You know what we here for. We're gonna talk a little bit about, things that can help recruits, get looked at and get noticed. But what's your thoughts about? We had Nike down here. What's your thoughts
Uh-huh.
about that, real quick, before we get started?
Well, we did. I know we did an episode. I think it was a week or two ago about combines and camps and stuff. And I didn't get a chance to make it out there, but again, I heard the kids had a chance to show up and show out. I saw some highlights and stuff, popping across social media, and some kids made some good things, man. So again, like we say, as long as you use it as a tool, I'm all for it, man.
Well, man, hey, the reason I brought it up was we had a kid, Manny Stokes, was at Winter Park back. He was at Lake Nona, went to Winter Park back at Lake Nona. He went out there and won defensive MVP, and coincidentally, he got a scholarship offer, his first scholarship offer on Monday.
Oh, there you go.
So I mean, it doesn't happen for everybody, but if you become the MVP or something of that nature, then everybody got to take a little notice.
Right. That's what
So
it is. Like I say, if you get a chance to perform, go out there and perform, man. You know what I'm saying? Go out there and do everything that you can do. Opportunities are limited, so when you get one, take advantage of it, make the best of it, and show out.
hey man, I got to give a shout out to Manny for two reasons. He plays for Rat Pack 707. And Manny, Rat's moniker is show up, show out scholarship. And then also, man, his dad had a real severe accident, so I was real happy for him and his dad, so that his dad could get to see his son get a little recognition. His dad's been one of those guys that's been out there very supportive. Has made sure that he had the proper training with Coach Bojack, Speed Plus. So we want to make sure we give a shout out to those guys. All right,
Nothing
man.
wrong with that.
It's about time to get started. I see my boy Allen that got on, and he's gonna start tagging people so we can go on and get this thing started. All right,
Let's
man.
do it.
We're gonna talk a little bit today. We're gonna talk about some topics that go into things that are very important for college coaches as they're gonna start coming down soon. They're definitely going to be starting to do a lot of different things to start their recruiting process, especially for that class of 2020. Some
Right.
classes, a lot of schools, honestly, are really looking at 2021s. I had a big shout out to Marco Coleman, one of the big homies, Georgia Tech, called me and he basically told me, AG, I need the 2021s. So,
Okay.
they're going to be looking at the 2020s, the 2021s, and some 2022s. First up the bat is appearance. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about it and then I'll add my 2 cents.
Just kind of piggyback off what you said about that. With the modern technology that's out there now, with the huddle and all that, these colleges are getting a jump start on these recruits now. It's not like I said back in the day we used to do the videotape and
Right.
everything year by year. With the technology out there, man, they getting a head start. So, your sophomore, junior year are they probably bigger than your senior year if you really want to know the truth.
Nowadays.
Nowadays, yeah. Because before my senior year is my breakout year. Yeah, man, your junior year, man, is the year you got to really holler and make some noise.
Yeah.
But with that being said, man, we talking about appearance, we talking about character, and appearance is a big part of that, man. And how you carry yourself with your clothing, how you dress. I know some of these kids get tired of hearing it, man, but the pants sagging off your behind, people can see your underwear, your shirt's all torn up and all that stuff. It's just a bad look all around because you have to remember, man, you are representing that university. You know what I mean? And it's basically a job interview and first impressions. And first thing I do if I see a guy, He looking like he just got out the bed in this fourth period, man. I'm gonna have second thoughts because he don't take his own appearance serious. How you gonna take playing this game serious?
Well, man, one of the things to piggyback on appearance, we I'm 50 years old now, so I understand. I remember when I was young about, we had our certain styles. We had, things that were important to us. But
Cross cut, big pants.
right. So, but one of the things that should, that you can't do is you can't be sagging if you're trying to go to college. That might be, if you don't want to go play college ball, then yeah, you can sag all day. You can have 3, 4, 5 earrings. You can, have all that stuff. But if you're trying to go play college ball, they don't want that kind of element on their campus. And that's just being honest.
Right.
Uh, and what I try to tell my daughter, and she's a little athlete, cheerleader, all that stuff. But unfortunately, you can get stereotyped, and if you get stereotyped behind your parents, there are coaches that are gonna go walk away. And and everything is about being neat with your appearance, and making sure that you look neat. But there's certain stereotypes. If your pants are sagging and you're doing things that are very urban, it's going to be hard for. I mean, you're going to have to be tremendously talented to even get that look. And a lot of times, even with that, that's not going to be enough because
Right.
nowadays they can't even go to, like they have to go and appeal for you to come to their school sometimes because of different character things that we'll talk about later on, that happen to some of these young men. So, you know, I just would charge the parents because, I have a thing, like I tell people, speaking of appearance, Allen Iverson, when he was at Georgetown, if you look at Allen Iverson at Georgetown, he was clean cut, no tattoos, no nothing.
Right.
Then he went to Philly, got that check. Then
Got
he got loose, and that's my thing to all these kids. That's what it should be. Make sure you secure the bag first
so
before you do all
AG, I'm
that.
gonna say this right quick, man. We got some comments saying that we need to turn our mics up. So guys, give us a thumbs up or something to let us know that if you can hear the volume pretty good, because I got a comment saying mine was low and yours was low. So we don't want to go through this whole hour. I know it sounds good to us, but I mean they listening, so I just want to make sure we good.
It might be just that one person, unless you got more than one person
Yeah,
saying that the
I
mic.
got 2 or 3 so far.
Yeah, well, let's see
We
something
gonna
real
speak
quick.
up. That's best we could do, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take myself off of the headsets, and maybe they can hear me a little better now. Hopefully, like let's Alan, can you let us know if you're hearing what we're talking about? Give us a thumbs up or something like that. We gonna keep talking. Because we pretty much at the last line of appearance. You got anything else you want to go or cover on that, coach?
Yeah, I do want to say this, man. I want to say that when it comes to appearance, man, like I say, these coaches come in and just quick story. I never allowed my players to wear flip flops during the school day, just because you're in school. You know what I mean? It's not a casual time. That's business as well. That's just one of my things because I wanted people to understand you're not coming from a workout. You're going to a class. You're not in college. You're in high school. And so that was just one of my standards that I set for our kids where they couldn't wear just flip flops to school. They had to wear some type of shoe, a tennis shoe. We dressed up on Mondays and so forth. But, again, appearance is huge. I've actually seen a kid lose a scholarship opportunity because of how he came on his visit to the college. You know what I mean? He came there, pants hanging off his behind. He every 3 steps he holding them up, and the coach said, "Man, I don't want anybody like that." So, for you parents out there, make sure you monitor that. For if you any kids out here listening, please, guys. It ain't no time to be cool if you're trying to go to school. You know what I mean? You could do that on your time on Saturday, Sunday. But when you go into these people and you trying to get in front of these coaches, just think about what if the coach coming to recruit you and his pants hanging off his butt. You wouldn't take him serious as a coach. So why would he take you serious as a player?
All right, Coach Hayes. They basically said you sounded far and you sounded low. They said I sounded good. So I'm gonna put my headsets back on. That way I don't hear this feedback. But that's what they said. So they
Okay.
said you sound a little better. Someone say you sound better now, Coach Hayes. So we good. So let me put
All
my
right,
head.
let's roll with it. I'm just gonna talk louder, man. Let's ride.
Yeah, you ain't got no woman over there at the house. Ain't you trying to, ain't nobody trying to hear all that. But anyway, man, let's go into it. You brought up a valid point about character. You talked a little bit about character. So can you explain to some of the people out here what character is, or what your definition of character is?
Yeah, well, character really is an umbrella term, man. It's a lot of things, and we're gonna talk about all those aspects tonight. But character within itself is an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of different things, man. How you carry yourself, how you are as a teammate, how you are as a student, how you are as a son, how you are as a player. Um, like the old saying goes, it shows what you do when nobody's looking. That's the real true of character, the kind of person you are. So when nobody's looking, what are you truly doing? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and that's what character means to me. You know what I mean? I actually want to start something, and I'm going to trademark it right now. Everybody else got 4, 5 stars for ability. We're going to do character stars. You know what I'm saying? AG, that might be something we jump off on. We giving cats character stars. You
Well,
know what I mean? Because guess what? Guys getting put out of school every day, not because they can't play, it's because they done something out of character.
yeah, we'll talk offline, but we already got a character development with top recruits. So we already
Mm-hmm.
got schools that ask me about that kind of stuff, and
Okay.
and really what people don't understand right now is that's probably the buzzword on everything. One of the biggest things about character is a lot of these kids don't understand that it starts at school, because what they're doing is they're going and they're talking to your counselors, they're talking to your teachers, they're talking to everybody that you in the school system. They would talk to everybody because they about to give you $160,000 scholarship. But what's even more amazing is they literally, when you're getting ready to go to the NFL, if you're that fortunate, they actually are contacting the schools like that you went to, and they're literally asking those teachers, and they have a forms that they had to fill out. And so just like my wife, who's a teacher, when kids come to her and they want to get scholarship referrals, and my wife had to tell one kid, I can't refer you, and that's just how it goes. So we got to do a better job of making sure that we as parents stay on our kids about making sure that they have proper character. Like it don't take much to say yes sir and no sir. It don't take much to go to class and be quiet, sitting in front of the classroom. It don't take much when you're somewhere and you see someone teasing a kid to say, "Hey man, y'all need to stop."
Yeah.
Those are things that we got to do. Because like I try to tell my son, you need to act like I'm there every time you do something.
Yeah.
Because you're
Hey,
probably gonna do.
yeah, my bad, not to cut you off, but to be honest, just to say what you said, yeah, they talk to your teachers, but I'm gonna give you a real secret, man. I've been blessed to have a couple cats in the NFL, and they've actually sent guys and college recruits. You know who they talk to that people don't pay no attention to? The janitor.
Yeah.
You wanna know why? Because kids be acting a fool in the hallway, and they don't pay that guy any attention.
Right.
And I've seen college coaches, even them NFL dudes, they'll come back and say, "Hey, man, how was AG Waseem, man?" Because the teacher's gonna give it to you because you had them in class. They got a little bit of rain on you, they could pull on the leash. Well, people think the janitor don't count, but guess what? He gonna give it to you blood raw. So he saw when you
Always.
was up there running up and down the halls acting a fool. He saw when you was skipping because he in the hallway with you. So I tell people all the time, you got to be, again, when you think people not looking, what are you doing? That's back to character, right? You didn't pay that janitor any attention. You thought he was a plant sitting over there. But he watching you the whole time. And the NFL guys, if you are blessed, they go all the way back to elementary school because
No doubt.
you become $1 million investment. Ask anybody, if you invest $1 million into anything, you want to know from its inception to how it became what it became to what it is. If you're gonna put $1 million up on it,
You're right. You're right. So hey, one of the other things when you're dealing with character, a lot of young men, and this is not necessarily character, but it's something that we got to make sure these young men start doing, is developing interpersonal skills.
sure,
I think that that's something that we really definitely need to teach these kids, because I think all these kids need to take a speech class and stuff of those natures, because I see kids that when college coaches come to talk to them, they really can't hold a conversation. And I think it's
Right.
because everything now is with the, Twitter and the Twitter universe. I mean,
Yep.
everything is, about that. So they don't know how to, hold these conversations. Like when we were, 5, 6, 7 years old, we could hold conversations.
Sure.
So I think that, what type of interpersonal skills do you think is good that parents can start working with with these kids right now?
I mean, the very first thing, man, is straight interaction. How you greet somebody. That's huge. How you shake, as a man, you should know how to shake another man's hand. We got so many guys call it a dead fish. Guy go shake your hand, his hand just limp. You know what I mean? And of course, you need to have a firm grip. You ain't got to break his hand. But guess what? Back to a whole different topic. But there's no fathers in the home teaching it. You know what I mean? How do women typically shake hands? With a limp hand. You know what I mean? So that's where they're getting it from. But we got to teach our kids. The very first interaction is that very first impression is the hellos. Hi, coach. How are you? My name is. Hey, coach. What's up? Nah, it don't work like that. You got to be able to shake a man's hand, look him dead in the eye, and be able to have a conversation, just like you said. And I've actually had a kid that sealed the deal on a scholarship to a major Division I SEC school because he shook hands and he stood up like a man.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it quite a few times as well. I think that one of the things that we got to do is just make sure that we teach these young men. And I just want to say this to women. This is my soapbox, but this is AG Waseem speaking. I think that women need to do a better job of allowing men to raise their sons. They got to find some man that they trust that they can raise their son, because you can't teach him how to be a man. There's certain intricacies about being a man that you can't teach them, just like there's certain intricacies about being a woman that I can't teach my daughter. And I understand that, so I allow my wife to do what she needs to do. And I think that women need to make sure they allow, women always want to save their little baby, but then you can't save him when he's in jail. You can't save him when he's down, at the police station. So let them dudes save him now, because you need to let him save him now.
Hey, I ain't never seen a mama as bad as she want to. She ain't never jumped in that jail cell and switched out, and she ain't never jumped in that casket and switched out with it.
Right.
As bad as she say she want to, like you said, so you got to have somebody do that now, so you don't have to go through those things later.
Already. So, man, I just want to make sure that people get that part out.
But I heard some Texas come out you, boy. You said already. I heard
Already.
some Texas coming out.
That's straight. That's straight Texas. So I mean, like
I got
already.
a homeboy named Tex. He be already. I like it.
I'm telling you.
I hear you,
I mean, that's one of the things that we were talking. We got to teach these young men how to be men. And like, one thing that I know, college coaches, one of the first things they do is look at how a kid shakes their hand, how he looks them in the eyes. Those are things that interpersonal skills that we got to make sure they're about. How they talk.
Sure.
When you, what up, coach? Hey, coach, how you doing? I'm AG Waseem. They want to hear that. And and a lot of kids, oh man, I'm gonna keep it 100. Here's where I'm from. Blah blah blah. Well, you'll be right at home.
Yeah, they got a spot for you right here.
Yeah.
SWU hiring every day. They give out free scholarships every day. SWU, Sidewalk University.
Oh yeah.
Home of the concrete, baby. They got free scholarships. You can go right out there every day. But guess what? Like I said, you can't be too cool if you want to go to school.
How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? That's
exactly
definitely business.
Right. That's just business, man. And back to the communication piece, we got to make sure that our kids understand how to hold a conversation. And also, this is very huge in the interpersonal skill space. How to listen. A lot of our kids don't know how to listen. They trying to answer the question before the question is even asked. Right? Somebody's halfway through the question. They trying to talk over you and answer it. Shut up sometime. Listen to the full question. Then have a response. That's very huge when you start talking about how you interact with other people. You got to be able to listen as well as talk.
Let me ask you this, man. You brought up some good things. So one of the things we're talking about character, and one of the biggest things that is showing these college coaches' kids' character is social media. Right now on social media, you have kids that are major recruits in Central Florida that have weed on social media. You got kids that are cussing people out on social media. You got kids that are showing fights on their social media. So talk to the people a little bit about social media, and maybe if you can share some stories, I'll share a couple as well about what I know has happened to a few kids on social media.
Well, again, we talked about this in previous episodes, man. But social media is not going anywhere. It's the new wave. It's a gift and it's a curse. The problem is everybody is on tape. Everybody's filming everything. Everybody wants to be filmed. Everybody doing everything for a double tap and a thumbs up. So with that being said, everything that you do, if you decide to put it on social media, it does not go away. People screenshot that. They have ways of recovering it. I don't know. I'm not a tech person. But with all that being said, I mean, the things that you do that you think that's funny as kids, posing with guns and drugs and alcohol. And you know what's even funny? Which is legal, but you sitting there posing with a stack of cash, right? That only implies that you're doing something maybe illegal, right? Because you got a big wad of cash, you got the cash phone or whatever it is, whatever these shorties call it now. But with all that being said, you can't, you got to be careful. I know we want to look cool. I know we want to do all that, but the things you do today is going to affect you tomorrow. And social media is a way to say, aha, I got you. There ain't no he say, she say. That is you in the camera. That is you on the picture. You know what I mean? And actually, I'm looking here, Vic Lamont just brought up a good part. Also when you're making your stuff on social media, you're doing all this cursing, N-words, F-bombs, even the music you playing. I get it, it's cool today, but with all the little, I don't want to call it specific artists because I don't want to get no lawyer fees, but he cursing in the background, F this, F that.
Well, what I think he was talking about was kids and their highlight videos. I mean, like a lot of these kids definitely and they highlight videos and I just wanted to, that was a good question. And what you said was great. I'm sorry to cut you off on that, but I just want to make sure that they understand that when college coaches look at your video, they not listening to the music anyway. They cut all the music off and they watching your video for 1 minute. So like you see all these guys with these 10-minute videos, they looking for 1 minute.
Yeah.
If in 1 minute they can't see what they don't need to see, they cutting it off. In 1 minute, if the first thing on your thing is F this B, shoot this thing, do this, die, they cutting it off.
Yeah.
I know a kid that's a major recruit that recently lost a scholarship because when the coach came in the parking lot, he bumping that kind of music.
Right. And I'm going to say this too, man. You know what? To go back to that, the best thing Huddle ever did was gave them that kind of instrumental track. You know what I'm saying? And I think Huddle makes it really hard for them to put their own music on there.
Right.
Because there's two type of highlight tapes, right? There's a recruitable highlight tape, and then there's the family reunion highlight tape. When you going to show that to your mama and them at the family reunion, you can put whatever you want. That's your family. But when you're doing that, I suggest you don't put any music. Because like you said, the only reason they're going to turn the volume up is to hear what kind of music you playing.
Right.
You understand? I had a coach one time, he really liked country music. He couldn't stand rap music. So guess what? If you playing some rap, that's a strike against you.
Right.
Is it fair? Not by no means. But it is what it is. So don't put anything on there when you're trying to use a recruitable tape. Now, when you at the family reunion that's showing your mama and cousin, that's a totally different film. You know what I'm saying? So, and to say what you were saying about the car, the guy playing the music in the car, these coaches that's coming to recruit you are not in your generation. Most of these guys are my age and probably older. You know what I mean? They don't understand the new generation.
But no, to those coaches' defenses, I don't think that they care about the rap music because they hear it in their locker room. What they care about is the F this, B this.
No, agreed.
So they've gotten to the point where they can hear the music and go on with that. Right. But what they can't tone out is someone that is, in the school parking lot with, playing that kind of music. There's other kids around, there's teachers, you're not being respectful. But we'll take a couple of questions before we get into the next one. Don Draper asks, how does character play into whether or not a head coach looks out for a kid, for camps, offers meeting opportunities. And one thing I'd like to clear up, because I saw a coach put this on his page. Coaches don't get kids offers. I mean, I take kids on bus tours, and I know a lot of coaches. I don't get kids offers. That kid gets himself offers by his film and by the things that we're talking about today.
That's correct.
Because the reality is, I put probably in my lifetime over 4,000 kids in front of coaches. And I might at best had out of all them kids, I put out 10% that they offered a scholarship to. And I want all the kids to get a scholarship. I wish I had the ability where I could make sure a kid got a scholarship. So when you hear coaches talk about how they getting kids scholarships, you need to run. Because so what you're telling me, you had 25 seniors and 10 get scholarships. So you didn't help these other 15?
Right.
Since you got it like that.
Right.
So,
I tell people all the time, as a coach, your job as a high school coach, your job basically you're confirming what that kid has already showed the coach. So when they come to you and ask you, Coach, how is he in the classroom? I'm confirming, man, he's a great student. Coach, how is he as a teammate? Great teammate. I'm basically confirming what it is they want to know about you, right? So you just said it best. Out of all the guys I've coached, I would love to get all my seniors a scholarship. I mean, that's a coach's dream to get 100% scholarships, right?
Right.
Even on our state team, we had a lot, but we didn't get 100% senior scholarship.
Right.
So, and I got some good buddies that are college coaches that, I mean, we like brothers. And I call him and say, hey, man, I need to get my man a scholarship. Guess what he going to say? Hey,
no.
Man, I can't give it to him.
I got it.
Now, he'll look at it because of our relationship, but that still don't mean he's going to give you an offer.
Thank you. One thing, Don, about character. What character does come into play is if a college coach asks his head coach what kind of kid you are, there's not a high school coach in the country that's going to lie for that kid. Because they know if they lie for that kid and you're a knucklehead and you go off to that school and you do what you do at school, guess what? That schools will never come back and talk to them ever again. Right. So that's something that that's the only way character comes into play. But, because if you're a butthole to the coach, he's not going to be, recommending you to college coaches. He's not going to, the media opportunities that he's talking about, the media kind of comes and asks for kids up front. And, and they do that by the stats and what they see, and the coach may say, hey, take this kid. But once again, if you got, and I think that's what Don was trying to get to, is if you got bad character, it's going to be hard for those college coaches, those high school coaches to recommend you for anything.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, if you're a bad character kid, and it's a fine line. If you're a bad character kid and he's still on your team, right? And I understand that it's a fine line because there are some kids you're trying to reach as a
you're trying to save them.
Yeah, you're trying to save them. As a high school coach, you're trying to save them. As a kid that's got talent, I'll be the first one to admit. You know what I mean? I had a kid like that. You know who he is. I'm going to leave his name out. But I want to say that kid because he had something, man. And it bothered me to this day. I just couldn't save him. You know what I mean? But with that being said, you got to be able to help him. But once that kid starts getting to a point, you know what I mean? You got to either cut ties with him, and maybe that's a lesson I might have learned. Or guess what? You don't promote that kid because he's going to do nothing but hurt himself and hurt you in the long run.
You just keep it honest. See, when college coaches, like the kid you're talking about, it came a point where you had to keep it honest. Right. I know exactly, because he was a very talented kid. Definitely a Division I caliber kid. Easily.
Very much so.
And, but unfortunately, that's not what he wanted.
Right.
And at that point, and hopefully, when he gets a little older, he'll be able to sit back and look at the situation. And, hopefully, God willing, he can just become a good man and have a good life. Sure. But you could not, in good fairness, say things about him because if you did, it was going to kill you and your relationship with coaches. So speaking of relationships, we're bringing up, and I'm bringing up because we're talking about relationships that these young men are having with these young ladies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see young men on, we've seen it. We can go from high school to college. We have to teach these young men about how to deal with these relationships, because we've seen kids that have lost scholarships because of their relationships with young ladies. We've seen, I mean, we've seen kids that have lost scholarships when they were in school because of these relationships. We've seen guys lose their NFL job because of their relationships with women. So, what advice would you give a young man about his dating with, young women, especially in this social media, uh, you know, environment that we're in right now?
I mean, my biggest advice, man, is, and I know it's tough, but relationships are all about emotions. You know what I mean? It's all about emotion. You know, she says something or he says something to kind of piss you off a little bit, you know, and you don't know how to handle that. And that's the tough part. You're dealing with high school kids. Some of these are very first relationships. You know what I
Right.
mean? They think they in love. They're gonna be with that person for the rest of their life.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, and then you got somebody else talking to her in the corner. You done lost your doggone mind, and you ready to kick her butt and his behind. So again, from my parents' standpoint, from my coach's standpoint, it's imperative that you talk to these kids about that stuff. Because if you're talking to them afterwards, it's too late. You need to start building that foundation now. So when part of your program is having talks, having scenarios. What do you do if you see your girlfriend standing in the corner by the locker with somebody else? How do you handle it? You know what I mean? Have those talks. It's just like practicing on the field. What do you do if the linebacker come down? Well, what do you do if she's standing in the corner with my man?
Right.
You gotta know. You gotta have those same kind of conversations, because that one moment of emotion ain't a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty. You know what I mean? And you can get past that. You can't get past that. You put your hands on somebody, and you end up doing some time.
Hey, just FYI, man, I'm sure you can't see it, but boy, you look real grainy. I don't know,
I
you
saw that. I
probably,
don't know why. I'm good on my screen.
I think you got the little cheap phone. Probably, how you roll. You from
I
Miami,
got the
you know how
cheap
you boy,
vibes, dog.
yeah, you know how y'all boys do. But no, but one of the things that we got to teach these young men, if we don't teach them nothing else, is that under no circumstances can you put your hands on them. None. There's no reason. That's something that got to come in the household. you know. And Coach Hayes went bye-bye, but he's probably going to come back. So I'll keep it going. But we got to teach these young men that under no circumstances can they put their hands on them. Because number one, it's an unfair fight. That's number one. I just recently had a kid that I know that beat up a girl on at school, that he plays football at the school. I won't say, and they wasn't even looking at suspending him. And I'm looking at it like, what if that was my daughter? Because it's going to be way more than that. So like I told the little young man, I talked to him and I explained to him, you putting your hands on this young woman, anything could happen. Anything. Coach Hayes, I'm finna add him back home. But you put your hands on a woman, anything can happen. And I know this firsthand because, like I said, when I was 13, my father killed a woman by throwing her across and she hit her head on a pole and died.
Mm,
So I tell anyone, under no circumstances can you put their hands on them, because you don't know what could happen.
definitely,
You know,
definitely.
and especially these young men, like you said, they're getting emotional. Like you said, this is their girl, this is their boo thing. But we got to teach them that they can't do it. And quite frankly, if they haven't seen one thing I do, no one should. The stuff that you've seen with Ray Rice, with Kareem Hunt,
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to make the same mistakes that you've seen someone else do. If I'm sad it happened to Ray Rice, but in my opinion, what happened to Ray Rice should have helped a lot of other guys. Kareem Hunt, it just happened to him, and he got another job, but still, look at what he lost.
yeah. You know
You
what,
know,
AG, is the funny thing you say that, man, is that the hard part about social media, like I said, the gift and the curse. Well, the curse is it's videotape, but the gift is it's videotaped for other people to learn from it, and people not learning from the other. As the old saying go, a wise man learns from a fool's mistakes.
right?
You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, we're not learning from those mistakes. It's happening over and over and over and over again. And so, I mean, I don't know how to beat it into these kids' heads, but a lot of times they don't understand that, or they don't think they're being videotaped. It is cameras everywhere,
Oh,
man.
no doubt, no doubt. There's cameras like it's not like we was growing up. Literally, there are cameras everywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, like they gonna find a camera of you doing whatever, whether it's you pissing on the sidewalk, you throwing up,
Yeah.
you arguing with anyone, you slapping someone. Even at the high schools, the kids don't realize there's cameras everywhere.
I mean, think about this, AG. I know it's a little off topic, but the whole Jesse Smollett thing.
Yeah,
They found 60 cameras to follow them guys in taxi cabs, Uber drivers, everything else to follow them around, and they
yeah,
follow their whole path just off of cameras, man.
yeah. I mean, well, it's a real network out there,
Yeah, it's
and
a network.
and
Everybody, the houses got cameras, the poles got cameras, the traffic lights got
if
cameras.
they want to, they could use the cameras in these phones.
My point exactly.
Yeah,
They could turn on our laptops and we don't even know it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So you can't run from it. You can't hide from it. But at the end of the day, we got to be smart about it. And I'm gonna say another thing. I know we were talking about relationships, but you brought up a good point when you brought up your father. Sometimes even our guys on the macho side, they want to get a little, macho and they want to fight. Unfortunately, I've seen this has happened to one of my players. He was actually walking through. He was a red shirt freshman. He ended up getting hit with a can of beer or soda or something like that. Somebody threw in the crowd. He turns around, punched the guy. He falls back, hits his head on a car bumper and dies. He gets charged with manslaughter, lost everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? I get it. I understand why he did it, but again, your actions and get consequences, man. You know what I mean? So you got to just be careful. And it's easy to say in hindsight, it's 2020, but you got to just be careful, man, because you can lose everything instantly, man.
Man, I see one of the things I see now when we're talking about relationships is not necessarily we talked about the relationships between men and women, but there also needs to talk about the relationships between the guys against other guys.
Sure.
Because, like you said, you fighting a guy, and all in your mind is just a fight, but you accidentally kill him, or something happens, or he accidentally kills you, and now both of your lives are gone.
Sure.
I mean, because and so those are things that we got to impart on these young men. There's nothing wrong with walking away. Especially when you're trying to get to a goal. Because most of these guys, we can say all day that they want to get to college. Their goal is to get to the NFL.
Right.
Every last one of them. Like whether they go to Prairie View, they go to Florida State, no matter what. And one other thing too about character is guys got to start being honest about themselves.
Sure.
Because I have a kid that he was all state here in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
He decided he was going to go to a school that was an academic school because they had the big name. Even though he had other big name schools, but they had the biggest name.
It sounds good.
Sound good. So I told him, I said, man, this school is, for regular students, is making 4.6 and 4.7. You're a 2.3, 2.4 kid coming out of high school. So, he went up to school, flunked out, had to go to junior college last year. But one thing about life, and that's what I tell kids, if you're honest with yourself. He called me yesterday, he said, Coach AG, he said, you tried to tell me when I was in high school. He said, but I couldn't see past it. But Coach, I'm finna go to this school here. I'm going to, and I know that when I go there, I can handle academics. They're going to give me all the support that I need. And it's an HBCU.
Sure enough.
And he said, and he asked me, I said, it's a great HBCU. I said, and they're going to help you with everything. And they're going to make sure that, and I started naming some of the guys that have went to the NFL from that HBCU. And he was like, wow, I didn't know that. So character-wise, kids need to be real honest about where they can really get on that field. You know, you got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah. I'm
Because
gonna
that's
say this, and I'm gonna say this too. Well, one, you know, I'm an HBCU advocate. So for those who don't know what HBCU means, historically black colleges and universities, because I know sometimes people don't know what that means. But
right.
I mean, you're exactly right. And the whole story is, if you're good, they'll find you, man. I
No
mean, think
matter.
about some of our top players. You know what I mean? With HBCU, Walter Payton, Jackson State, Jerry Rice, Mississippi Delta. I mean,
Mississippi Valley.
Valley. I'm sorry. You know, it's just plenty of players out there.
Bob Hayes, FAMU.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Hey,
Google
and probably the guy that's been the most successful out of everybody, Michael Strahan, Texas Southern.
Michael Strahan. I mean, it's plenty of them out there. Tavares, what's his name? Played for the Minnesota. Then he went to Alabama State, if I'm not mistaken.
Plays there now?
He did. Tavares, black dude, black quarterback, man. He was there. I believe
Oh,
he was
yeah.
in Buffalo there.
Yeah. You know, you
But I'm
had
just saying,
Steve Air McNair. You know,
Alcorn State.
Yeah.
You know, hey, the punter for the Raiders, my man, he went to Fort Valley State.
Right.
I mean, there's plenty of places. If you good, they'll find you, man. So with that being said, I mean, don't get caught up with them logos, because logos are not loyal. First of all, I don't know that university. I really don't even know the kids you're talking about. But if that school was academically sound, like you saying, why would you even recruit a kid with a 2.3? You set him up for failure. You know, so basically they were trying to use that kid to get what they could out of him.
They was trying to use him because they got in a little trouble. So like they was trying to bring in big names, right. and he was a big name. I mean, he went to that school over Florida State,
right?
So that that lets you know how big he was,
right? You know, and I'm gonna add a little segment. I know we got a little time. I hope you don't mind, brother, because we ain't really got a lot of questions flowing in. So if y'all do got questions, please put them up there. But I want to add some coaching character in there, man, if we can. If you don't mind, what you think?
Man, hey, do what you do.
You know, some of our high school coaches, man, we got to have a certain character when it comes to putting our kids out at certain schools. You know, let's not try and pad our stats by how many kids we put in school by just sending a kid to one of these Division III schools that don't give scholarships and telling the kid he got to pay $1,000 a year.
Right. It happens, and it happens a lot here in Central Florida. I mean, and unfortunately, people will, they'll see that this certain school put 20 kids in school, but out of those 20 kids, only 2 aren't paying no money, right. And out of that, only 1 or 2 may graduate at the end of the day. Because I don't have a problem with you paying money to go to school as long as you graduate.
And my thing is, you can afford it. See, here's the problem.
Right.
I had a story here, Central Florida. This kid wanted to go to college, right? He wanted to do all this and whatnot. So he talks to another guy. He gets him set up, right? Oh, he got him this scholarship. Well, it technically wasn't no scholarship. This kid had to pay $18,000 a year to go there. Right?
Yeah.
Well, if he's a full FAFSA kid, so he gets $6,000, we knock it down to 12, right?
Right.
They knock off 3 because they give him in-state tuition, so now he's down to $9,000. So he's got to come up with $9,000 out of his pocket. Now, mind you, this is how college works. You're going to go there and play in the fall, but come January, when it comes to that winter semester, right, or it comes to that spring semester, we need our money so you can go to class again. Guess what happens? You get sent home. And now here's where the biggest problem. Here's where the biggest problem happens, AG. And this is why I say we got to have some coaching character here. Is that as a coach, if you know that kid can't pay that bill and they're gonna send him home, this is what a lot of people do not understand about this. If a kid has a bill at another school, he cannot enroll into another university.
True.
So what happens is that kid is now trapped. He's got to work to pay $9,000 to a school he's not attending anymore just so he can go to another school. Just so you can put in the newspaper that I put 12, 15, 13, 15 kids in school. And that's not fair to that kid because at the end of the day, he's a child. He doesn't know any better, and probably these parents don't know any better.
They just happen to say their kid going to school.
Huh?
They just happen to say they got a kid going to school.
Yeah, listen, I've had some kids go Division III, but I made it very clear to the parents, this is what you have to pay. Can you afford to do that? If you cannot afford to do that, then we'll stay on the hunt. If you can afford to pay this, I've had some parents that say, Coach, I can pay up to $15,000 a year. All right, so now I know what my limit is as a coach. I have some parents that say, hey, Coach, I can pay $10,000 a year. So now I know where that threshold is, where those parents can pay. And that's being a good coach. For me, that's not putting a kid in the bind. That's not putting a family in the bind because you think, oh, I'm just going to go to school and it's going to work itself out. At the end of the day, somebody got to pay for those books, man.
Oh no, no doubt. And like I said, you hit on something that probably people don't want to. It'll be a lot of high school coaches that'll be pissed off about what you're talking about. But the reality is, you're 100% right. We need to make sure that these kids are able to go to school, they're able to pay it. Because I've always said, if before you go out of town and pay $10,000 and $15,000, you better off walking off at FAM or walking on, to someplace closer to home. It wouldn't cost you that much. And I know kids that went to Florida State that walked on and, have a degree at Florida State. But, and I know a kid that's at Cornell and his dad had to pay like $8,000 the first year, but he could afford it. But they made it clear once he paid that $8,000, they were going to take care of him, and they have, and now he's about to graduate.
Right.
So
back to that whole character, you got to have those conversations with that coach.
No doubt.
You got to be able to articulate yourself. You got to be able to speak up for yourself, self-advocate. You got to be able to do those things as a young 18-year-old because what a lot of parents don't understand, these coaches don't have to talk to you once they get on their campus because they're considered an adult. You know what I mean?
And they're not going to talk to you. If you talk to
walk in the office and get to talking.
If he's talking to you, there's generally a problem.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, he's not talking to you when all is good and like now your position coach, yeah, he's gonna probably talk to you. Your son's position coach is gonna talk to you a little bit, but the head coach, he's not really doing all that.
He ain't got no time. He got to shake hands and kiss babies, man. He ain't got time for that.
I mean, exactly. So my thing is, man, I think that if people don't take anything away from this, I think the biggest thing in this one, this is not the glossy, the fire and brimstone topics that we talked about, but these are the real topics. And I think that, if people don't take nothing else, I think that we need people to be realistic about your son's ability, but you need to also be realistic. There's no sense in having your son go to Baylor or Vanderbilt, and he's a 2-3 kid.
Right.
He's a kid that don't really care about academia.
Right.
There are certain kids out there that care about academics, and there's certain kids that don't. And there's certain kids that just going to do just enough so they can play college football. And that's okay too. I'm not going to be one of those kind of people to tell, it may catch up to them, but I think that the best thing you do is be honest. And like you said, I think honesty goes a long way from the honesty for the kids. I think honesty with the parents and their kids' ability, and honesty from the coaches as far as, can my kid and his family afford this? You've been with the kid for 4 years. You know if he can afford it, his family can afford it.
Right.
And I think those are the kind of conversations. I wish, just like if anyone asked me what level of football I see their kid, because every time that I, with the scouting service, they asked us, me and Mike, to project that. So I always am very honest with a parent. This is the way I see a kid. That doesn't mean that they can't be Division I.
Right.
But this is where I see them. And I've had kids that I thought was Division I that went NAIA, and I've had kids that I thought was NAIA that went Division I. But I think you have to know what you're doing, because ultimately you want to get to school for free if you can, or with the least amount of money possible.
Correct. It's funny you say that, man. I really feel in my heart, especially doing the job I was doing, at the school I was at, that your undergraduate degree you should not pay money at all if you do very little.
Right.
You know what I mean? For your undergraduate degree. I tell people this all the time. A college degree really says one thing, especially your undergraduate degree. All it does is tell people that you are trainable at a high level.
That's it.
That's it. Because guess what? When you get your new job, right? You done went to school for 4 years, 5 years. When you get that brand new job, what's the very first thing you do? Go to training.
Yeah.
So why are you training, man? I've been in school for 5 years, right? I've been in school for 5 years training for this job, but guess what? As soon as I get there, I got to go to training again. So again, when you're doing this, there's no reason in the world you should be coming out of school $400,000, $300,000, $200,000 in debt for undergraduate degrees. Now, when you start getting up into your, some people in med school and so forth, I mean, there's a sacrifice you're gonna make.
That's different.
That's different. But please, parents, please, players, do not put yourself out there. I understand you want to play college ball and get all that, but here's the big deal. If you can't afford it, you're going to be coming home in January. Then once you come home, you locked in. Because you owe those people money, it's tied to your social security number. You can't go to another university because you had an outstanding bill, right? And unless you got some grandfather or somebody that's got a big inheritance coming, you're going to be stuck. So now guess what you love to do? Just get a regular job, all right? So, for the parents out there, don't let the coaches, I got a school perfect for them. Parents, please do your research on these coaches, man.
All right. Well, hey, man, I think that'll cover it right there, man. Hey, I appreciate it. Next time we come up, man, we're going to make sure that we get these parents with some trainers. So we're going to have a list of trainers for, speed and conditioning in Central Florida, a list of trainers for each position. We'll go down and give their information. And then, we'll talk about the importance and what the colleges are looking at that position. All right. So, all right, man. Well, all right, brother. Well, hey, man, appreciate it. Great show. We'll do it again next week. Next week it will be on Tuesday at 9:00. So we'll see you then. And where can they go to hear some about? If they want to know about some football, where can they go?
Hey, if you want to know about some football, you go right here, baby. Coach Hayes Football. All right, it's youtube.com/Coach Hayes Football. We talk about all type of stuff from philosophy, offense, defense, technique, whatever you want to talk about, we're going to talk about it. So we're going to do videos on those. We try to drop those every Saturday if we can. And, that's it. So like I said, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we're trying to get to them 200, man. I'm at 123 right now, AG. And on my Twitter page, I got 15 followers. So, hey, lay up off me, dog.
Get your thing popping. Well, all right, man.